Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Securities and Exchange Commission Chief Jay Clayton was asked when there might be a ruling on XRP as to whether or not XRP is indeed or is not a security. And there's an article about it here from Daily Hodl, and I look forward to reviewing this with you. I've also got a couple tweets from XRP community members, and then I'll wrap up the video with an article from Cointelegraph, unrelated but found it interesting, and it's titled, Stanford Professor States, Crypto Will Rain on Banks' Low Interest Rate Parade. Now, before we get going here, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP and you want the SEC and Jay Clayton to rule that XRP is indeed not a security, because we already know that, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. You'll be in good company. I promise that might be true. Alright, so the first piece titled, Is XRP a security? SEC chief faces direct question on key Ripple concern. During a question and answer session at FinTech Week 2019, an audience member asked Jay Clayton, chairman of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, if and when the commission will rule on XRP. Clayton, who spoke prior to Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, and that's funny timing, isn't it? Offered a look at what the SEC would consider in an examination of the third largest crypto by market cap. Now here's a quote, direct quote from Jay Clayton. We don't comment on specific enforcement matters or whether matters are under review. It would be inappropriate to do so. What I will say is on enforcement matters generally, there are a number of factors that go into the assessment of any remedial action. One of the matters that you think about is how much of the conduct occurred conduct occurred inside or outside the United States, investor loss, those types of things. In terms of any particular product, yeah, I'm just not in a position to comment, but I appreciate the sentiment underlying your question, which is understood. And so they've already ruled, by and large, on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but not XRP. Consider this, okay. So as it pertains to XRP, of course, this is a global phenomenon, right? And so even if the SEC ruled that XRP is a security, it would not affect people outside of the United States, not directly anyway. Of course, you can imagine what it would do to the markets of people panic selling. I imagine some would, which would also then open up a buying opportunity for those that are a little bit more savvy and understand it's going to be around. But I'm not convinced that's going to happen, of course, and I don't think XRP is a security, but I'm just a little mental exercise. If that were to happen, XRP keeps on a-moving. I don't know what the implications would be for Ripple maintaining their headquarters in the United States. I don't know if that would change anything along those lines. Something would happen. There could be penalties, this or that, but I don't believe that will happen at all. So again, it's just a fun little mental exercise. Now, here's an interesting point. I'm going to hammer this home a little bit in this video here. He cited something fascinating, which I hadn't heard him state, and it's like, so he was asked to comment on XRP, and I feel like he said he wasn't going to comment on XRP, but he sort of did, because he was, here's the part that I'm talking about. Here's part of his quote. One of the matters that you think is about how much of the conduct occurred inside or outside the United States, investor loss, those types of things. He cited that specifically in response to XRP. Now, is that truly a general statement, or did he think that because it happens to apply to XRP and it just kind of came out? Makes me wonder. That's speculation one way or another, perfectly fine, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. As far as actually, I'm going to give you a real-world example of why I don't believe for a moment XRP is going to be ruled to be a security. Part of it has to do with the fact that, look, XRP has been out there in the wild since it was in development in 2012, and it was either the very tail end of 2012 or the very beginning of 2013 when it was technically launched. It was right around there, and like the full production version of XRP. And so just if Ripple were committing some sort of serious infraction, do you not think, especially with the spotlight being on Ripple, that maybe the hammer would have come down by now? I'm going to show you a couple examples of why the answer is yes. If this were there actually some major infraction, I'm going to try to persuade you if you don't already believe that. Let me wrap up this piece first, though. XRP's stateside classification by the agency could have legal ramifications for Ripple as the company continues to battle a U.S.-based lawsuit claiming it illegally sold XRP as an unregistered security. Last month, the San Francisco-based fintech company filed a motion to dismiss the suit on technical grounds, stating that the plaintiff, Bradley Sostak, who filed his case in early 2018, waited too long. The motion argues that the statute of repose required him to make his case within 3 years of the initial offering in 2013. This summer, the United Kingdom's Financial Conduct Authority listed XRP alongside Bitcoin and Ethereum as unregulated crypto assets, not securities, thus falling outside of the authority's regulatory perimeter. You can check out Clayton's response below, right here, and then there's a little video clip right here. All right, and so, and indeed, the United Kingdom, it's pretty freaking crystal clear. XRP is not. Well, they say what it is. You know, they cite the utility over in the UK, the actual utility of XRP. So it's a utility cryptocurrency, right? Makes sense to me. Of course, given the decentralized nature of the XRP ledger, of course, XRP doesn't have any special permissions over it, period, whatsoever. And the ledger keeps becoming more and more decentralized the more time passes here. So take a look at this now. Just for fun. So take a look at this. This is from the story from Yahoo Finance. And it's titled Telegram versus the SEC, the fight over token distribution. And so there was what was the full name of this? Telegram, here we go, Telegram Open Network. So this is an ICO, and it started, I don't know, maybe the date's not listed on this particular one. I've got two examples I want to cite, and I want to compare it to XRP here. So with this one, a $1.7 billion offering of Telegram tokens. And states, according to the SEC, Telegram started raising capital between January and March of 2018, that's what I was looking for, to build the Telegram Open Network, also known as the TON blockchain. The company raised $1.7 billion from sales as 171 initial purchasers bought around 2.9 billion grams. From these, 1 billion Telegram tokens went to 39 U.S. investors. This means that around $424 million was capital from the U.S. market, which trips into the territory of U.S. regulators. And again, so the rest of the sales, no control over that whatsoever. This, again, cryptocurrencies, global phenomenon, all that stuff. Anyway, the company committed to delivering the Telegram tokens by October 31st, 2019. However, this seems to be a jinx date that neither the Russian company nor the British government can deliver on. The key problem is that Telegram and the SEC don't agree on the nature of the Telegram tokens. I would say this too. It's also a problem that the SEC doesn't have clear regulatory clarity as it pertains to cryptocurrency, so maybe add that and then have some rulings. But anyway, the commission sustains that grams are securities, which means that Telegram needs to register them with the SEC. However, Telegram Group and TON chose to use exemptions of the law to sell the Telegram tokens, and those are cited below. I don't think I need to get into it for the sake of this video here. But, so to me, if the SEC is even reasonably correct in their assessment, and perhaps they are, probably, right? To me, it would make sense if this is indeed a centralized cryptocurrency for the TON blockchain. That would make a ton of sense. Then it would sound more like they're selling a security, but when you're talking about the cryptocurrency, like the digital asset, whatever. What's your favorite vernacular path to go there? We call it what you will. But as it pertains to XRP, to me, just it couldn't be more clear that Ripple doesn't have any special permissions over it. So that's a clear distinction right there. Regardless of how much XRP Ripple owns, that just it doesn't matter. Because if you think about it, if that were a problem, especially given that Ripple did not create XRP Ledger, if the quantity of XRP that Ripple held, so then does that mean that if Ripple were to sell all of its XRP, just a fun mental exercise again, and then somebody else purchased all of that, is it now a security because a different party, whether an individual or company, is it now a security because that company or individual chooses to hold that much XRP? Is there a certain quantity of XRP that you hold that just makes it a security? Well, no, that's silly, obviously, right? That obviously makes no damn sense in the world. Take a look at this one now. This is a fun one. Okay, so this is directly from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission website, and it's titled, SEC orders blockchain company to pay $24 million penalty for unregistered ICO. And this was on September 30th of this year. The Securities and Exchange Commission today announced settled charges against blockchain technology company Block.one for conducting an unregistered initial coin offering of digital tokens, ICO, that raised the equivalent of several billion dollars over approximately 1 year. That's staggering. The company agreed to settle the charges by paying, get this, a $24 million civil penalty. So, not a math wizard here, but raised $4 billion with a B, paid $24 million with an M to make this go away, right? I'm just saying, that's outrageous. So, and here's the thing, though, because even if a cryptocurrency is declared to be a security, I still say, I must insist that you need to have regulatory clarity that would cite that. It could be a security if it's centralized, like I stated earlier in the video, but you got to account for the fact that with the nature of this new animal that is, the distributed ledger technology, cryptocurrencies, you have to account for the fact that cryptocurrencies can become more or less centralized or decentralized, whatever, just over time. And if you don't account for that, because look, if it's a security, something can go from being a security to not a security, and that's why I'd argue that even if in the early days you could, and I'm not stating this case, but even if someone could make a reasonable case that XRP back in 2013 was a security, think about what has changed since then within just the nature of the XRP ledger itself. Even if, and I'm not saying it was, just a fun, again, mental exercise, it clearly is not today. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump to the next piece here. I gotta highlight this. So, thank you very much. I'm sorry I might butcher your name here. I don't know if it's Pierce O'Hagan. I sincerely apologize if I'm getting that wrong. But there is this tweet from Pierce O'Hagan, tagged me, and wrote, received a questionable email from someone that says he's you. So somebody's pretending to be your boy Moon Lambo. I don't really care for that one bit. It really grinds my gears. So I tweeted this out. Scam alert, this is not me. The only real communication you'll ever see from me will come from this Twitter account and my YouTube channel. Be careful out there, XRP community. As my grandpappy used to say, people are no damn good. And so there you go. And he did say that. He did indeed. I don't know. Maybe get bitter in old age. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm happy as a clam, though. But yeah, so just watch out for that. It's just, I don't want people to fall for scams, especially not if someone's impersonating me here. But yeah, I'm not emailing anybody. Just, if you want to talk to me, I'm happy to talk to people. But comment below or catch my attention on Twitter. I respond as best I can. Seriously. I know I miss stuff in Twitter feed and stuff, like in messages and all that stuff. I get bombarded with notifications, and I'm not saying that to brag like I'm so popular. It's just, it really does, like, when you get tagged in a bunch of stuff, it's easy to miss things. So I will always do, if you just tag me enough, and I will eventually see you, I promise. So I'm not trying to ignore anybody. All right, next year, this was a funny one. I want to share this with you. This is from King Solomon, who tweets out, does anyone else ever measure unnecessary life expenses in XRP value? My wife's getting her haircut today, which I assume will probably end up costing around $125 with tip. That's 451 XRP. On the other hand, a divorce costs around $15,000. That's 54,000 XRP. I support the haircut. That's a funny tweet, all right? I can appreciate that. Well done, King Solomon. I got it. And yeah, I support the haircut as well. Haircut every day, all day long. That's cool. All right, last piece here. Cointelegraph. Stanford professor. Crypto will rain on banks' low interest rate parade. Well, that sounds mean. And look at this. They got this little picture here of like this angry, undescript cryptocurrency, and it's ripping the roof off this bank. The letter K's missing off bank. It just says ban. He's holding the gigantic dollars that for some reason, why does the bank have gigantic printed dollars? I'm not real clear on that. Maybe it says in the story. It doesn't tell you in the story. Let's go ahead and jump in here. A professor at Stanford Graduate School of Business says cryptocurrencies will put an end to the windfall that banks currently enjoy from low-interest deposits. In an October 24 interview for the university, Dean Witter, distinguished professor of finance Darrell Duffy, said that one way or another, cryptocurrencies are likely to upend banks' business model within the next decade. But I thought cryptocurrencies were supposed to go away. I thought that this was just a Ponzi scheme and it's all going to collapse and be gone. How about that? I just learned something today. Professor Duffy said the public should not be misled by the relatively still low levels of adoption of decentralized cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin. Nor should they take the pushback against Facebook's Libra as a sign of a moratorium on major private initiatives. The future is coming, and it will be very disruptive to legacy banks that don't get with the program, he said. Whether in the form of a dollar-backed stablecoin, a Facebook product, or a central bank digital currency, The benefits of the digital asset model will likely mean that banks lose their access to lucrative low-interest deposits within 10 years, he said, adding, quote, "New payment methods will trigger greater competition for deposits. If consumers have faster ways of paying their bills and merchants can get faster access to their sales revenue without needing a bank, they won't want to keep as much money in accounts that pay extremely low interest." And then the piece continues, as the report notes, consumers and businesses currently store around $14 trillion in deposits with United States banks alone that pay out an extremely low rate of interest on average. Banks currently pay less than 0.1% interest on checking and savings accounts, and only a slightly higher rate on one-year certificates of deposit. Meanwhile, the amount banks receive from routine overnight loans has climbed from 0.3% in 2015 to over 2% in 2019. And so 2%, that's somewhere in the neighborhood of inflation. So if you're just keeping your money in an account that pays less than that, you're actually losing money. Not in terms of actual dollars, but in terms of spending power. Inflation is real, my friends. And so there actually are, if you're going to keep any amount, even just a small amount in like checking or savings account, I would encourage you to just do a quick Google search. There are actually banks out there that will offer over 2%. So at a minimum, at least then you're keeping up with inflation. Because otherwise, again, even if it's just a small amount, it's like, why? Like, why do that? If you're just letting it sit there, just a small amount, you haven't decided what you're going to do with it, at least earn the 2%. So because otherwise, you figure if it's, say you have $100, if the inflation rate's about 2%, you just less $2 out of that. So your $100 is now worth $98 a year later. That don't make no sense. Boom Lambo, not the best at math, but that don't make no sense. Just saying. But that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!